As we grow older, many changes in our bodies are expected. Slower digestion, weaker joints, lighter sleep. But what often surprises both doctors and families is how deeply emotional pain affects sleep in seniors. After the age of 65, difficulty sleeping is frequently blamed on physical health, arthritis, medications, or bathroom trips. Yet growing research shows that unresolved emotional wounds, like grief, regret, guilt, loneliness, or loss of purpose, may quietly be the root cause behind restless nights. And the most dangerous part? These feelings often go unnoticed, unspoken, and untreated. In the world of elderly wisdom, sleep isn't just about closing your eyes, it's about closing emotional loops. For many seniors, the real reason they can't sleep isn't pain in the body, but pain in the heart. This episode of Elderly Reflections will dive into why emotional pain interferes with sleep, how it silently impacts senior health, and what science and real-life lessons from the elderly can teach us about healing. We're not here to tell sad stories. We're here to help make sense of the pain many carry alone. If you're looking for understanding, comfort, or practical support to sleep better at night, this is for you. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We release weekly reflections, motivation, and life-changing insight for those navigating life after 65. Sleep is more than just a nightly habit. For seniors, it is a vital part of healing, memory preservation, emotional balance, and longevity. Yet for millions of older adults in the US and Europe, sleep becomes more fragile with each passing year. What often gets overlooked is the role emotional pain plays in this decline. Medical professionals may treat arthritis, sleep apnea, or nighttime bathroom visits. But beneath the surface, unspoken feelings of grief, regret, loneliness, or purposelessness quietly take root and begin disrupting the brain's natural ability to rest. This part will explore 4 of the most common but least acknowledged emotional triggers that keep seniors awake at night, told through both scientific evidence and deeply personal stories. This is Elderly Reflections at its most human, not just about senior health, but about dignity, peace, and the desire to rest with a quiet heart. Unresolved grief, the echoes that wake you at 2 a.m. Grief doesn't disappear, it transforms. For seniors, especially those who have lost a spouse or sibling, grief becomes a companion they learn to live beside. But at night, that companion grows louder. In silence, the absence of a voice, a presence, or a daily routine can create a sharp ache. Many older adults say their sleep wasn't affected in the first months after a loss, but it worsened over time. That's because grief doesn't just bring tears. It brings a shift in identity, habits, and even body chemistry. The brain loses its sense of emotional safety. Cortisol spikes and melatonin drops. A 2020 study from the Journal of Aging and Mental Health showed that over 45% of seniors who lost a partner experienced long-term insomnia beyond a year. Helen M., 82, from Minnesota said, "It wasn't the loneliness, it was the silence. At night, I remembered the way his breathing used to sound next to me. When that was gone, the room felt too big. I couldn't sleep, even though I was tired." Helen's story is echoed in communities around the world. The solution didn't come from pills, but from speaking her grief out loud, in group sessions, in prayer, and eventually in letters she wrote to her late husband. This process of release gave her mind permission to rest. Elderly wisdom reminds us, when the heart is heavy, the body does not rest. Regret and guilt, the loops that never end. Many people believe that older adults live in peace because they have lived long, full lives. But the truth shared by many seniors is more complex. Regret can grow louder with age, not quieter. When the distractions of work and parenting fade, the mind revisits moments of choice. A harsh word to a child, a broken promise, a friend they never said goodbye to. These aren't just memories, they are open loops the brain wants to resolve. And when resolution never comes, sleep suffers. Studies from Stanford Center for Sleep Science show that rumination, repetitive negative thinking, activates the brain's stress response. Cortisol levels rise, heart rate increases, deep sleep becomes rare. James D., 75, from Yorkshire shared, "I missed my son's graduation. It was decades ago, but I still think about it, not every day, just every night." James had never told his son he regretted missing it. A therapist guided him through a life review process, writing letters, making peace. He mailed one. He didn't expect a reply, but he slept deeply that night. Regret is part of human life. But elderly reflections teach us this: the body cannot rest when the soul still carries unfinished business. Emotional isolation, the silent separation. Many seniors are not alone, yet they feel deeply disconnected. Emotional isolation can occur even in a full house. Children grow up, conversations get shorter, friends pass away or move. Over time, some seniors feel invisible, especially in Western societies, where aging is often associated with fading relevance. This loss of emotional presence causes the brain to interpret danger. Sleep, which depends on a sense of safety, gets disrupted. According to the American Sleep Foundation, emotional disconnection is linked to chronic insomnia in 1 in 3 older adults. Gloria S., 79, from Ontario said, "I live with my daughter. I hear them talk in the kitchen. I'm grateful, but I don't feel part of it. That hurts. It makes the night feel longer." Gloria's doctor suggested a sleep study, but a geriatric counselor suggested something else: restore connection. A simple nightly ritual with her granddaughter, sharing one thing they each learned that day, became their new bedtime habit. Her sleep deepened because the heart felt seen again. Elderly wisdom tells us, one voice, one touch, one moment of being seen can change the night. Loss of identity and purpose, when the day has no meaning. When a person retires, or when children no longer need their help, many seniors feel adrift. Without a sense of purpose, days blend. There is nothing to complete and nothing to close, which means the mind doesn't prepare for rest. Night comes, but closure never does. This leads to shallow sleep, frequent waking, and emotional fatigue. Harvard's Department of Geriatric Psychiatry published a paper showing that seniors with low purpose scores were 2.6 times more likely to suffer from insomnia. Walter K., 81, a retired carpenter, said, "When I worked, I came home tired. Now I go to bed tired of doing nothing." His doctor suggested he volunteer, but Walter didn't want charity. He wanted meaning. A local elementary school invited him to teach woodworking. It gave his day a reason. It gave his night a natural ending. He began to sleep again. Elderly reflections like Walter's show this clearly. Rest follows purpose. These causes rarely show up in routine checkups. They don't appear in lab results, but they live in the thoughts seniors carry into bed each night. And if we want to restore real rest, we must treat the emotional wounds, not just the physical ones. Because true senior health means caring for the mind, not just the muscles. In the next part, we'll explore how seniors across the world are learning to overcome these emotional blocks and finding their way back to deep, peaceful sleep. When emotional pain persists, it doesn't just stay in the mind. It travels through the nervous system, interferes with hormonal cycles, weakens the immune system, and slowly erodes the body's ability to recover and function well. For seniors, these impacts can be profound. Sleep is just the first thing to go. What follows is often misdiagnosed, misunderstood, or simply accepted as just aging. But elderly wisdom tells us something different. The body speaks the mind's pain. And unless we understand how emotional wounds show up physically, we'll never offer the kind of care that truly heals. Hormonal imbalance and the cortisol trap. The brain of a senior in emotional distress often releases elevated levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. Normally, cortisol should drop at night to allow melatonin to rise. But in the presence of unhealed grief, chronic anxiety, or suppressed regret, cortisol stays high. This means the body remains on alert, even while lying in bed. Over time, this disrupts the circadian rhythm, lowers REM sleep, and reduces the body's ability to recover at night. In a 2018 study published in the journal Neurobiology of Aging, seniors with chronic emotional stress showed 42% lower melatonin output and significantly delayed sleep onset. This isn't just about tossing and turning, it's about a body that is chemically being told, "You are not safe." Without deep sleep, the body can't repair muscle, consolidate memory, or maintain immune balance. Seniors often report feeling tired in the morning, despite a full night in bed, a red flag for stress-driven sleep disruption. Prolonged cortisol elevation can also lead to elevated blood sugar, increased belly fat, and even bone density loss. This hormonal chaos becomes a health hazard, all rooted in invisible emotional weight. Immune system weakening and inflammation. Sleep deprivation and emotional stress both weaken the immune system, but together they accelerate aging from the inside. For seniors, this can lead to frequent infections, slower healing, and a greater risk of inflammatory diseases. A 2019 review in Frontiers in Immunology found that seniors who experienced persistent emotional stress had elevated markers of inflammation such as CRP and IL-6, both associated with cardiovascular risk, joint pain, and even cognitive decline. These markers act like alarm bells for the body, signaling a chronic fight-or-flight mode. Gloria S., who struggled with emotional isolation, not only experienced insomnia, but frequent respiratory infections and gut discomfort. It was only when she restored daily connection with her granddaughter that both her sleep and digestion improved. Her physician remarked, "The body noticed when the heart felt safe again." Other seniors report worsening of conditions like arthritis, eczema, or digestive trouble during emotionally stressful periods. Inflammation becomes a bridge between emotional pain and physical suffering. And unless treated at its source, medication alone won't restore full health. Cognitive fog and memory loss. When sleep is poor and emotional pain persists, the brain begins to suffer. Seniors report forgetfulness, confusion, and difficulty concentrating, often mistaken as early dementia. But what if these were symptoms of emotional overload? The hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory, is highly sensitive to stress. Chronic cortisol exposure shrinks it. Elderly individuals dealing with unresolved emotional pain are at higher risk for memory-related issues, not just due to aging, but because their brains are overwhelmed with unprocessed emotions. James D. shared, "Some days I couldn't remember why I walked into a room. But after I wrote that letter to my son, it was like a fog lifted. I could think clearly again." The role of emotional healing in restoring cognitive clarity is underestimated. In a longitudinal study published in Aging and Mental Health, seniors who engaged in expressive writing or grief counseling had significantly better verbal memory scores and attention spans over a 12-month period compared to those who did not. This suggests that releasing emotional weight is not just good for the heart, but for the mind. Cardiovascular risk and silent heart strain. The connection between emotional distress and heart disease is well documented. After a significant loss or prolonged emotional pain, seniors face higher risks of elevated blood pressure, irregular heartbeat, and even heart attacks. This isn't just anecdotal. A study from the University of Rochester Medical Center found that bereaved seniors are twice as likely to experience a cardiovascular event in the year following a major loss. Walter K., after losing purpose in retirement, began experiencing chest tightness and hypertension. His cardiologist found no arterial blockages, only stress. When he returned to teaching woodworking and regained a sense of usefulness, his symptoms eased. His story is one of many showing that emotional pain doesn't just hurt the heart metaphorically, it stresses it physically. Prolonged activation of the sympathetic nervous system causes arteries to stiffen, heart rate variability to drop, and the heart muscle to strain harder for longer. This chronic wear and tear contributes not just to disease, but to reduced resilience, the body's ability to bounce back from illness. It's a silent damage masked by a smile, masked by the phrase, "I'm just tired." Emotional decline and loss of motivation. Perhaps most silently destructive of all is the emotional numbness that follows prolonged sleep loss and emotional fatigue. Seniors begin to lose interest in hobbies, withdraw socially, and stop making plans. This state, often misread as just slowing down with age, is actually a type of emotional shutdown. It feeds back into sleep disruption, forming a vicious cycle. Helen M. once loved writing poetry, but after her husband died and sleep became fragmented, she stopped. "Nothing came to mind anymore," she said. But after attending grief therapy, she wrote her first poem in 2 years. The poem ended with the line, "Peace isn't quiet, it's when your heart is heard." This quote sums up what many seniors feel. Emotional fatigue doesn't feel like sadness, it feels like emptiness. Motivation to move, eat well, socialize, or even speak can slowly fade. This emotional flattening often leads to misdiagnoses of depression, or worse, to a life where a person no longer fights to reclaim their joy. Motivation, in elderly reflections, is not just about ambition. It's about having something meaningful to wake up for and something peaceful enough to fall asleep beside. Understanding these 5 hidden effects of emotional pain reveals a truth often missed in senior care. Treating the body alone is not enough. True senior health must address the emotional injuries that accumulate over time, especially those left unspoken. In the next part, we will explore practical, compassionate solutions that have helped seniors not only sleep better, but live lighter, with more meaning, more connection, and more peace in the years ahead. Once emotional pain has disrupted sleep and weakened the body, the path forward isn't just medical, it's emotional, it's human. Seniors don't need more pills, they need more peace, more understanding, and more presence. What follows are real solutions drawn from real lives, supported by both science and compassion. These aren't quick fixes. They are steady practices that slowly restore the rhythms of rest. Each one offers a chance not only to sleep again, but to live again, with less fear, more clarity, and the kind of stillness that brings comfort at 2 a.m. Grief journaling and life review. When the past keeps repeating in the mind, it needs a place to go. That's why grief journaling and structured life review have become some of the most effective tools in geriatric therapy. A study published in The Gerontologist found that seniors who engaged in structured reminiscence therapy reported fewer sleep disturbances and a 32% reduction in reported nighttime anxiety. Helen M., who struggled after losing her husband, began writing him letters, not to send, but to speak. Every night I would write him one memory. It felt like I was folding a piece of my pain into a drawer. Over time, she said, she could fall asleep with her heart a little lighter. These reflective practices give the brain a signal. The story is heard, and the loop can close for the night. In group sessions, many elderly participants find a profound sense of relief simply by voicing their experiences, being heard without judgment. This recognition alone often helps ease nighttime tension, offering the body permission to rest. Emotional connection rituals. Loneliness is a risk factor for poor sleep, but connection doesn't require a crowd. A nightly phone call, a shared cup of tea, or even a brief text exchange can reset the emotional system. Gloria S., and her granddaughter began a ritual of sharing their best moment of the day every night before bed. It took 5 minutes, but within 2 weeks, Gloria's sleep patterns began to stabilize. Emotional rituals give the heart something consistent to return to, something that says, "You matter and you are not forgotten." In care homes across Europe, staff have introduced structured compassion rounds, where every resident receives 5 minutes of uninterrupted listening time. Early data from pilot programs in the UK suggest that these routines significantly reduce nighttime disturbances and reported anxiety among residents. It's a small act, but to someone who hasn't felt truly seen in days, it's life-giving. Purposeful engagement. Rest doesn't just come from relaxation, it also comes from meaning. Seniors who volunteer, mentor, or participate in community programs report better sleep and lower depression scores. Walter Kay began teaching woodworking at a local school. His doctor reported improved blood pressure and better heart rate variability within 3 months. More importantly, Walter said, "I go to bed tired from something real again." The science backs him up. According to the National Institute on Aging, purposeful activity reduces nighttime cortisol levels and improves sleep efficiency by up to 18% in seniors over 70. Activities don't have to be grand. Even writing letters to younger family members, recording personal histories, or offering advice in senior discussion circles can restore that inner sense of usefulness. Elderly reflections often include this truth: when the day feels meaningful, the night feels earned. Trauma-informed therapy. Not all emotional pain is rooted in recent events. Many seniors carry decades-old traumas they never had space to unpack. Modern trauma-informed therapy, including EMDR, narrative therapy, and somatic techniques, have proven effective for older adults. James D., whose guilt about his son haunted his nights, began narrative therapy. With the help of a therapist, he reframed the story of his parenting. "I stopped seeing myself as a failure and started seeing myself as someone who tried. That was enough for my mind to rest." In a 2021 study from the University of Washington, seniors who received trauma-informed care showed significantly reduced symptoms of chronic insomnia and reported higher satisfaction with life. These approaches honor the full life story, not just the medical symptoms, and allow seniors to integrate past pain into present peace. Sleep preparation as self-kindness. For many, bedtime becomes a battlefield. But sleep hygiene, when practiced gently and consistently, can become an act of self-care. Seniors benefit from dim lights in the evening, warm baths, herbal teas, breathing exercises, and even simple mantras. Margaret L., 77, began ending her night with a phrase, "Nothing more to do, nothing more to fix, just rest." Over time, that became her body's signal to let go. Beyond routines, many elderly have found comfort in what they call gentle planning, preparing something small to look forward to the next day. Whether it's watering a plant, calling a friend, or watching the sunrise, this anticipation quiets the mind and invites a sense of calm before sleep. Simple tools like lavender oil, white noise machines, or soft music have also helped rewire the bedtime experience from tension to tenderness. Gentle movement and daytime light exposure. Movement during the day leads to better rest at night. Gentle activities such as Tai Chi, chair yoga, or even slow walks in natural light help regulate the body's circadian rhythm. In a study published by the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy, older adults who engaged in 30 minutes of movement combined with at least 15 minutes of morning light experienced significant improvements in sleep onset and continuity. Exercise releases endorphins, reduces inflammation, and burns off excess stress hormones, all crucial for preparing the body for nighttime recovery. Seniors in group classes also benefit from the added layer of social bonding, making movement not just a physical task but a joyful ritual of connection. Each of these practices reflects a deeper truth. Healing sleep isn't about silence. It's about being at peace with the noise inside. Elderly wisdom tells us that the body will follow where the heart leads. If the heart feels safe, seen, and heard, sleep returns not as a struggle, but as a gift. In the final section, we'll reflect on what this journey teaches us about aging, rest, and the quiet dignity that comes with being emotionally whole after 65. As we grow older, we don't lose our need for peace. We deepen into it. Emotional pain, when left unspoken, becomes a quiet visitor each night. But healing doesn't need to be loud. It begins with awareness, with understanding that sleeplessness in seniors is not just a symptom to medicate, but a message to decode. Through elderly reflections, we learn that rest is more than sleep. It is peace in the soul, quiet in the mind, and gentleness in the heart. Every story shared, from Helen's journal to Walter's woodworking, is a testimony to one truth: healing is still possible, even after 70. In fact, it might only truly begin there. To every senior who lies awake at night wondering if they are alone in their restlessness, you are not, and you are not broken. Your pain matters, your memories are valid, and your sleep can return when you feel safe enough to let go. Let us value senior health as more than physical. Let us honor the emotional history behind each sleepless night, and let us create homes, communities, and routines where seniors feel seen, heard, and held. If you found something meaningful in this video, please like and subscribe to Elderly Reflections. Share your thoughts below. What helps you find peace before sleep? And more importantly, where are you watching from? We'd love to hear your story.